And right now, once again, we're glad to be joined by the mayor of the city of Carrington, Mr. Tom Erdmann. Thanks, Mayor, for joining us here on a monthly basis on the Carrington Cardinal Community Chatter program. And we talk about the regular city council meeting on a monthly basis and the chatter program brought to you by the Carrington CVB. And Mayor, let's see, it's kind of been a little cool and wet and haven't seen the sun in a little bit, huh?
All of a sudden, the fall kind of turned on here. I was out pheasant hunting on Friday, and Saturday morning is when it opened, and it was shirt sleeve weather. And by Sunday afternoon, it was like, "Where's my coat?" And the wind was blowing, and I think fall's in the air, Greg. But yeah, that's okay. I think the kids survived a football season of extremely warm weather while they played. So and it's on. I guess they have one tonight, of course.
Hmm.
At Carrington Field against Thompson. I think that's the last home game. But anyway, no, fall's in the air, and I guess anytime pheasant season opens, and then pretty soon I understand moose season is on right now, and I got a couple of buddies that have moose license, and they've been seeing some awful big moose in the area. So that's other than the moose are in the cornfield, so they haven't been able to shoot them, but the farmers will get the corn off, and the guys will get their harvesting the deer and the moose and another season will pass, and then pretty soon I'll be able to take the snow bear out on the ice. So
Yeah,
just
no, that season ice fishing's coming up pretty soon. Yep.
but anyway, yes, our meeting here this week on Monday night. I guess I'll just run down the agenda items. Of course, the first thing is we needed a motion to go ahead and increase our 60-40 split with the state on the water department on that water main project that we've got going on Main Street from Gate City Bank to Wally Service. We estimated that project to be 140,000, and it turned out to be 175,000. So the state will match 60-40 up to 100,000. So we've made a motion to go ahead and apply for that additional money. And also trunk and treats coming up on the 31st of October. So there were motions made to close the street to allow the kids and the vendors to come up on Main Street and have a wonderful trick or treat day. And hopefully the weather's nice. If the weather's bad, then they'll move it into the armory. Then from there, we're involved with the Red River Valley Water Supply Pipeline. The city of Carrington is committed to half a CSF, which is 130 million gallons of water per year. And as that project goes along, the state funds 75% of it, and the local users have to fund 25%. And it's kind of like a construction loan. So as they keep bidding different phases of the pipeline, they need the financing. So we've committed to our pretty minor amount of water, but it's still going to be looking like at the end of the day, our cost to have that outlet for industrial water south of town is going to be about $20,000 annually for a 40-year payback. So I was authorized to go ahead and sign the Series F financing agreement with the Lake Agassiz Water Authority and the Red River Valley Water Supply Pipeline. So from there, I guess we'll just jump into finance and legal. I guess I'll back up here. Better talk about the fire department first. So the fire department, Chief Longa said they had 3 local calls. 2 of them involved smoke and one was electrical, but nothing major, no major fires. And then they had 2 rural calls, one to help excavate people out of a vehicle that had hit a deer. So like nobody got hurt other than the deer didn't make it. And then there was a grass fire down along Highway number 9. Then last week, I'm sure residents noticed the fire trucks were kind of going up and down Main Street, back and forth to the school. So last week was Fire Prevention Week, and the firemen take an active role with all the kids at the school, and also the kids from Pingree came up. So very successful training with the kids. There were 356 kids involved, and they got to understand how to prevent fires and how to basically take care of fires if something does happen. And also the chief indicated they ordered a couple additional handheld radios. As they go outside of our territory, they still find they're having a little problem communicating with the other first responders. So they ordered a couple new handheld radios. And then the Siren 2020 project, of which there's an antenna sitting on it's been installed on our water tower. And once that gets into place, then all first responders, school districts, highway patrol, everybody will have the same radio frequencies. And this has been a project, it was called Siren 2020. They were hoping to have this probably in place already 4 or 5 years ago, but we're finally getting to there where to make sure there's coverage throughout the state, they had to identify communities like ours to put the antennas on. So as they draw circles around the state to make sure there's overlap and there's no areas in the state that it doesn't get reception for this radio system. And that will be taking effect here in 2026. So that's hopefully this coming year we'll see the use of the Siren 2020 project. Then from there, I'll just jump into finance and legal. We approved a recommendation to switch our checking and savings over to Gate City Bank. Of course, that's all based on interest, what they pay on the money, and then also the fees that they charge for doing banking there. And that decision to do that, of course, it's always hard to leave a local institution, even though Gate City is a local institution, but it amounts to $6,000 additional revenue per month. So that's a fairly substantial increase in revenue. Then also at finance and legal, we discussed our substance abuse policy and drug testing. Basically, our police officers and anybody with a CDL, there's fairly frequent. So what we decided to do is reduce the drug testing on our law enforcement from quarterly to annual. But then the CDLs are still going to be quarterly just because that's more federally mandated. We also had a discussion about abandoned property, which would include cash. If we acquire cash that somebody's abandoned, we don't have any way to process that right now. And our attorney's going to be working on an ordinance so we can go ahead and deal with abandoned property, whether it's vehicles or anything of value. Right now, we don't really have the right ordinance in place to handle that. Then also Chief Bittman, with the fact that we've been short of officers for a significant amount of time, a couple of the officers have worked more overtime and additional hours and haven't been able to take their PTO time. And we have a policy that individuals can sell back up to 40 or 60 hours of PTO. So we approved Lentz for 40 hours and Jensen for 60 hours, but to pay out some of their PTO because they've already hit the cap of where they're at. So that was taken care of. And then the other thing, I guess we've been working with waste management and we finally we got a contract with waste management. Now we just got to work out the final details on signing the document. But anyway, we're looking at pretty much the exact same cost of where we are today. And then for the next 2 years, we would be looking at a 4.5% to 5% increase. So what we've negotiated with waste management should not have any cause for raising residential or commercial rates. We plan to keep those the same for the next 3-year period, which should be a positive for everybody. Plus, I don't know if I mentioned to you in our budgeting process, we did not ask for any more increase in property tax. So the city gets $826,000 from property tax for 2025, and we requested that we leave that the same. So everybody should see a reduction or not much of an increase in their property tax when they get their bill here in December. Then also the city sales tax continues to run at a pretty good pace. We're $136,000 ahead of last year for 1% city sales tax. So we're at like 596,000 and the total last year was 655,000. So we're thinking we're probably going to see a 1% tax that's going to equal about 800,000. So that's a substantial increase, and it also helps us have additional funds. It's one of the reasons we don't have to go back and look at increasing the property tax levels. Then from there, I'll just jump into economic development. We continue to have a lot of interest in our commercial building improvement grant, whereby we will match 25% of the commercial business that wants to do any improvements. So we approved the payout to Mid-States Insurance for their new roof and some activity they did. And then also CB's Bar and Grill, we approved paying out the 25% on that project. Then we also approved paying out the $2,500 to Central City Lumber for a new job credit for a cabinet designer position that they added. And then one of the bigger ones, we approved the terms and loan conditions to the Carr brothers. They've formed a new LLC, which is called 2000 Main LLC, and they've gone ahead and they're purchasing out H&H Holding, the residential housing project on the west side of town. So with that project, we provided them with a $200,000 forgivable loan over an 8-year period. And their part of the deal is they need to build 5 new homes out there. And for each home that's built, they'll get a $40,000 plus accrued interest payment towards that $200,000 loan. So we're kind of excited about that. And we know that Mr. Hafner did put the project out there, and then he did the 5 houses that he was required to do. And then he just kind of really couldn't get the ball rolling again. So we're hoping now, like the grade school area, that whole block in the city, when we tore down the old grade school, that's all, there's 6 new homes there. So right now we're kind of, other than the H&H Holding property, there really isn't any housing development. And we're excited that the Carr brothers and Tim are going to take this project on. So looking forward to that. Then we also had a preliminary approval for a commercial improvement grant for the Big Chief, the iconic center at the Chieftain. If you've noticed, it's not there right now. It's sitting over in Larry Whittaker's Carrington Motor getting repaired. It's a fiberglass body, so it's kind of like fixing a Corvette, I suppose. Anyway, they'll paint it up, and but to do that is just like about a $25,000 bill. So we've agreed, part of our commercial building incentive is that we would cover 25% of that. And then lastly, on economic development, we approved selling Lot 5, Block 1 in the industrial park to Jason Hovnessness. He's looking to relocate the Williard excavating business, which he's acquired, and moving that building that's over by the water tower out to this property, which is just on the north side of Pack Construction in our industrial park. So it'll be a better fit for him to have that construction and all the equipment and the material that he has for his business out in the industrial park, and kind of clean up that area just north of the water tower. Then from there, I'll just jump into the police committee. Of course, we hired a new officer, Eric Romero, started here October 1st. So now we've got 3 officers plus the chief. And of course, we'll continue to work with Justin Johnson with the sheriff's department. Anyway, the police officers, monthly they make over 280 calls for service and different activities that they do. And then we're also looking at continuing changes to the junk ordinance. We had a new junk ordinance put in place, and of course we find as we start trying to enforce it, we find some loopholes in there. But for the most part, people, when they're approached about cleaning up their property, they've been fairly good. But there's always 1 or 2 that you have to take the letter of the law, and that's kind of what we found. We have some loopholes in our existing ordinance. Then the tree board, if you noticed, J&J Striping has removed 25 boulevard trees throughout the city. I know a number of those were right on Main Street, and they were big, 4 or 5 foot around diameter trees, so they were big old trees. It's kind of sad to see that, but the Dutch elm disease is here, and every year it's taking, between 25 and 30 trees. This spring, there'll be a new incentive to replant some of those, and we'll tell you what that is once we get it nailed down. But Doug Smith is the council member, that's the chairman of the tree committee. From there, I'll just jump into public works. Of course, we're doing the street sweeping and storm sewer basin cleaning and kind of flushing hydrants and getting ready for winter, basically. And then the brown tote grass clipping totes, the last pickup for that will be October 27th. And then, of course, like I said, the project on Main Street at Gate City, they've been working really well on it this whole week. And the plan is by next Wednesday, but then of course Mother Nature's raining on us right now. But the plan is by next Wednesday that site will be repaved and everything will be done, which will be great because we've kind of gone all summer with some gravel there because we had that leak at Gate City this spring, or this winter we had a water break there. And rather than just patch it, we went in ahead and decided to replace the whole 1 block of main. But a main water line through 1 block of the city, when you find out it's 175,000 plus engineering costs, I mean, but that's one of the oldest lines in the city. And of course, we probably need to every year look at probably doing a block or two, and hopefully we can continue to get the 60/40 grant money from the state. So with that, that would conclude my report for the month of October, and we'll meet again in November.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, that's next council meeting is November 10th at 7, right? 7:30?
Yep.
Okay. Well, sounds good. Then we'll plan to have you on again, Tom. So we always appreciate you giving us an update on this regular city council meeting for the month. And yeah, I suppose just kind of getting ready for the winter here and be out about ice fishing here pretty quick, huh? Hopefully,
Well, yeah,
maybe.
but I was out golfing yesterday afternoon, so we'll see if there's a break it's Men's Day yet today, so
Oh
we'll
yeah.
see if there's still a break in right when I looked at the range schedule, I was supposed to quit at 10 o'clock and start at 4, so maybe I can get another 18 holes in, but the course is pretty well shut down. They pulled the flags and but I actually shoot better when I don't know where the flag is, because now I just shoot for the green.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a wonderful place to live. There's all kinds of fun things to do, and the 4 seasons is why we love it here, Greg.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. So all right. Well, thanks so much and have a great rest of your day and we'll check in again next month. So
Thanks for having me, Greg. You too. Have a good day.
yeah, you bet. We'll see you.
Discover the charm of Carrington, where community and character come together. Our vibrant community is full of welcoming smiles and unique experiences, from delicious dining and one-of-a-kind shops to lively events and beautiful parks. Join us in celebrating the best of Carrington, where every visit feels like coming home. Come visit the Carrington Chamber and CVB office to learn more about our wonderful town and its amazing businesses. Explore Carrington today and experience the warmth of our community. Hey sports fans, tune in to YourLiveEvent.com for all the action-packed Carrington Cardinal games, streaming live and free. Catch every thrilling moment with our live coverage. Listen to the play-by-play and watch the games unfold right on your screen. Plus, if you missed any of the excitement, don't worry. You can catch up on all previous games at YourLiveEvent.com. Check out the full schedule and never miss a moment of your favorite local Carrington games. Stay tuned and let's go Cardinals!